Adventure and trouble on the high seas prompted an air search response by the Rescue Coordination Centre of New Zealand with the deployment of a P3 Orion from Whenuapai on Monday. The Niue Yacht Club says that initially they were responding to a concern from family of a crew on a yacht called the Enchantress that was bound for Niue but had not arrived to its destination when expected. The GPS location of the yacht had remained stationary for some time, causing concern from family. Communication with the crew was also very difficult, and there was some confusion as there were actually two yachts with the same name. Using their networks, a request was sent out for assistance from other yachts at sea to see whether the Enchantress was within their range. We spoke to one of the skippers involved in the search and his account of the adventure that unfolded.
It was pretty rough, and the boat, the big steel one over there, right at the back there, and it's 53 foot, so he's got some clout with his engine and stuff, but he didn't want to go more than 10 miles close to the reef. So he managed to establish a VHF, because he was kept calling Enchantress 2, a contact with the VHF with Tar Baby, which was the vessel that was eventually lost. Tar Baby said, well, we're going to rendezvous with Enchantress. It was a loose arrangement as far as we were concerned. And a lot of this is sort of grabbed from different people, so we don't actually know the facts of it until you would speak to the Tar Baby people, or indeed Enchantress people. But at the end of the day, they said, well, we're going there, we'll report to see if there's another vessel. Now, there was one vessel already there, I think this big one here, there's a New Zealand one here, Quintessa or thereabouts, that said, well, there's no other vessel here. So they reported to Stu who on Gold Team 3 had already gone back off course, because he said, I'm going back up to Niue now. There is no vessel here. This was all reported. Keith then reported it to Mark, the Chief of Police, who then put it into New Zealand Recovery, etc. And subsequent to that, Enchantress pressed a spot button to say we're okay on his GPS, and then it started plotting. It had left. A few hours probably prior to all this, they were totally oblivious to anything, and they turned up onto that buoy 2 days later. So with all of that information, we didn't know quite what happened until the EPIRB was set off on Tar Baby. It was some 60 miles from the reef by then. Nothing to do with the reef, it would seem. They were coming back with a dismasting. And then the Orion aircraft, etc., located them, and they diverted a fishing vessel, I believe, who eventually picked them up off it, and now Tar Baby is floating sadly away with all their possessions, etc. Well, I suppose if you take just Enchantress, they had left information that they were going from Palmerston to Niue. And then the next thing we knew, they weren't in Niue. They should have been here, I think it was Friday morning. They weren't there, and they didn't communicate with anyone, because I don't think they had any capability of communicating. No email, no SSB, VHF wouldn't have reached with anyone, except they said, oh, let's go to the reef. So I think that was a fall down, because then someone gets worried, and you can't leave two souls unattended. So that's really, I think, the breakdown. As far as Tar Baby is concerned, I don't think there's any problem with that communication. They were communicating right. They just hit something, a wave that dismasted them, which caused them grief. Otherwise, they would be sitting here with everybody.
The two crew from the Tar Baby were rescued by a fishing vessel, Tarungo, and are now in Samoa. Unfortunately, it seems that the adventure on the high seas for the crew of Tar Baby has been cut short, and their yacht is now floating somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. But for those who did make it to Niue despite the dramas at sea, they are relieved to be in Niue and taking in all the sights.
It's just amazingly nice. I mean, some of the scenery is spectacular, and this morning we're going to go around the west coast to see some more treasures. So we're very thrilled, and I don't think we've ever been to a yacht club. I know he's standing there, but I don't think anyone can say anything but what a superb hospitality we've had. Absolutely brilliant. And I would thank the Commodore, the patron, and Jim, who runs the day-to-day business there. They were fantastic and are still fantastic.
The Niue Yacht Club were also quick to commend the quick response from Telecom and Niue Police, as well as the Rescue Coordination Centre of New Zealand, to assist in their operations.